We're going to go through a brief presentation, and then we'll open it up to questions at the end. So my name is Viviana Trevino. I'm a designer at Page here in Austin, Texas, and I'm the chair for Design Voice. I've been involved in this organization for a couple of years now, and we can get into why we're doing this, but Chet.
Yep, my name is Chet Morgan. I am the co-chair for Design Voice. I'm a project architect at Perkins Will in Austin, and this is our first year of putting on Force-Majeure, and so we're excited that y'all are excited, and looking forward to everyone's questions when we get to that. Just real quick too, and Vivian, you might get to it also, is that just because we have so many participants coming through here, I'm monitoring the chat right now, so if you have questions, just write them in there and I'll write them down. We'll make sure all questions get answered, but just given that there's so many people on this call, we can't have everyone have voice control. So I hope you all are okay with that. But thanks for joining.
Yeah. Yes, and one more thing, we are recording this, so I hope you're comfortable with that. We just want everybody to have the same information. So we're going to post it on the Force-Majeure website so that people that couldn't attend tonight could also hear the questions and everything. So let's get started. So we are, let's see, sorry about that. We are Design Voice. It's a committee at AIA Austin, the AIA Austin chapter. We do a series of different projects. So this Force-Majeure competition is one of them that we're launching this year. We facilitate opportunities for design professionals to serve their community through collaborative design-focused events and programs. And anyone is invited to join. We meet every fourth Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. It was at the center, but now with everything, we're just meeting via Zoom. So join us if you'd like. So we wanted to introduce to you guys the jury panel, and we'll have this on the website as well. We haven't made this public until tonight. Let me admit, there we go.
Oh yeah, sorry.
All right.
I'll keep an eye on this, Viviana, so you don't have to.
Okay, thank you. It's hard going back and forth.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so there's 4 jurors for the competition. The first one is Connie Rivera. She is the current Texas Society of Architects president for 2020. She's from Corpus Christi, grew up in South Texas, and has experience with historic preservation, went to the University of Texas here in Austin. She's currently recognized for being and launching the TXA's Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Task Force. And she's an architect at WKMC in Corpus Christi. And she's also really actively involved with Women in Architecture, who I didn't mention at this beginning, but Latinos in Architecture and Women in Architecture also helped create this competition. Delia Garza is the City of Austin District 2 Council member. So she's currently serving and was the first Latina elected to Austin City Council. She grew up in San Antonio and came to Austin and went to Texas A&M to get her bachelor's degree. And she was actually a firefighter for many years before getting her law degree and going into politics. So before she started working at the city, she helped the Texas Attorney General with child support division cases and whatnot. So we're really excited to have her on our jury panel. The District 2 is Southeast Austin, so it's more of the impoverished part of the town. We're really excited to have her on. And if you guys have any questions throughout this, I think Chet mentioned, but feel free to chat and then we can answer them as we go or at the end.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we'll keep reminding everyone because we're getting a bunch of people jumping on the call during when you're talking right now, Viviana. So.
Okay. Perfect.
Comes to that.
Great. The next 2 jurors are Alfred Godfrey from the Trail Foundation. So Alfred is an architect and planner, and he's worked extensively on the Austin Trail Corridor for over 25 years. He's also co-founder of his firm, Limbacher and Godfrey, and is the founding president for the Rosedale Foundation. He enjoys walking on the trail and is passionate about its importance to the health and well-being of Austin. And for a couple of years, and currently he's been working on the Barton Springs Pool Master Plan, which is considered to be the jewel of Austin. So it's continuing to have positive outcomes in the city, and it's really fun to go to. Beth Wilson is the Executive Director of Planning and Asset Management at the Austin Independent School District. So she studied architecture at the University of Michigan, and most of her career deals with primary and secondary education industry. So she leads a variety of different projects at AISD, but she's currently working, or one of her projects is finding different strategies for overcrowding. And obviously right now, I mean, everyone's just trying to figure out what we're going to do this upcoming year. She's skilled in urban planning, facilities planning, government and community engagement. And for those of you that aren't from Austin, AISD has about more than 80,000 students. So it's one of the fastest growing districts in the country. Let's see. So those are the 4 jury members. And we wanted to talk about why we're doing this. So like I said, Design Voice does a series of other projects, and we've had design competitions in the past, but I would say this is kind of our biggest endeavor. So I think Chet and I, we were just kind of, all of our plans changed when COVID-19 hit. And so we wanted to be current and respond in some way to what's going on currently. So that's how this competition came about. And we didn't necessarily want something that was built. We just wanted to generate different ideas and just capture that. And so that's how this competition came about. And I think this quote sums it all. Architects facilitate interaction, create gathering places, and build communities. So what then is the appropriate design response when we can't be physically together?
So this is the site, as I'm sure you all have seen if you've reviewed the brief. It's over in East Austin, and it's adjacent to Airport Boulevard, which is a main thoroughfare in our city. East Austin is kind of unique. It's an area that is under a lot of development right now, but it's also was before the 2000s was largely marginalized, and was kind of the city kind of turned its back on that portion of the city. And so we felt it was important to develop, this site over in this area and kind of use this as the catalyst for this neighborhood, the Go Valley neighborhood, that is, that there's so much going on, there's so much potential for this, and there's so much need for resource as well too. The dimensions that we have on site are general for what they are. If you are in Austin, I highly suggest that you go out and visit the site. It's just off Tillery Street. A couple things to note about the site too is that just to the west of it is an elementary school. You kind of see the track outlined there. Next, it's on Weberville and Oak Springs Drive. And just south of there is ACC, Austin Community College, one of their auxiliary campuses. And then just to the west of that is a new high school that's going over there as well. But like I said, most of the kind of busyness and a lot of the traffic is happening on the Airport Boulevard, but it's kind of a unique spot because it's kind of feels sleepy and residential, but it's just right on the edge of activity. And so we kind of felt that this was a great area to kind of start implementing new ideas and talking about, in these different prompts that we're going to go through.
And Chet, I do want to mention, for those of you that are not aware, there are some additional site resources on the website.
Yes.
So if you haven't checked those out, I would, you should. They're just, if you go to the website, you'll see like additional resources, and there's pictures and different things. So.
Yep, we got some GIS plans. We got CAD backgrounds. We got Rhino model. You name it. Okay, should we go to the briefs?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go.
So the first brief, this is designing for a post-pandemic education, and I'll kick kind of everything off with just saying that this is an ideas competition, and I'll speak for myself maybe, but what I want to see is the best idea win at this. So I would just have as much fun with these briefs as possible. Obviously, you're only allowed to submit for one brief. We'll have a winner for each category, but I would just say don't get too caught up on the details of it. And if your classroom, is 899 square feet, that's going to be totally fine. But basically, this brief is talking about what does education look like when we cannot be around each other as much? Do we silo students in one area and the teachers are living there, or what's the plan for how we educate and normalize education in a post-pandemic world? Because social interaction is crucial to learning process, and we can't just be working and studying from home. So what does that look like? And so what we've outlined with this is just a couple of program areas that we think are pertinent to school design. But we're kind of what I'm looking for, or what the jurors are going to be looking for, is kind of reading between the lines and what's the idea that's really going to make this and all the other briefs really sing. So we can go to the next one. Project brief number 2. That's pretty much that's we call it the urban cleanliness park. This is a kind of a how do we create an area that will help give resources to people experiencing homelessness. So is there shower facilities, restrooms, clean drinking water, all that stuff, but how do you make it a community resource as well? So it's not just just a facility. It becomes a more community resource. So what does that pavilion look like? What are these these trails? And there's already, as we looked at the site before, there's already really nice water features on the site. How do you incorporate those into the design as well? How do you provide a laundry facility for people that are transient, that will be in and out of these spaces as well? And then we can go to the last one. So the last one is the Crisis Resource Community Center. And this one is kind of more talking about how do we make spaces flexible for pandemics when we don't understand when they're going to come, and when they do come, we have to be ready for them. So how do you make a space that could quickly transition both in and out of a pandemic? Can it be essentially a food bank? This is what we've provided the prompt to be. And then after that, what is it? Does it become a gymnasium? Does it become, a library? That's up to y'all, and we're really excited to hear what you guys have. But this is kind of talking about flexible space and what does that become, during and after pandemics. I think that's, yeah. So what we'll say then too is if you have questions, we have a couple questions that we got emails about that we'll answer, that we'll read out loud. But if you have any questions, I got my eye on the chat right now, so feel free to put them in there, and we'll answer everything that we can. Oh, Viviana, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now? Sorry,
Yes,
I muted
yeah.
myself. I was saying, as long as we're respectful of everybody's voice, we can do some questions over the chat, and then I can unmute all if we just kind of want to have a dialogue. But we did want to go through some of the questions that we have already received. So I will go ahead and say some of them. One question was, can we have some flexibility on board content and layout, either less content shown on a board or more boards? So you guys can only submit one board. And so, we're encouraging that you would have all of the things that are on the project brief. If you want to add additional items, those are going to be considered, but you can't submit more than one board. So everything has to fit within that. Okay, there was another question about zoning, like what is the zoning of this site? So Chet, you can go into it more, but we're not really looking for actual scenarios in real life necessarily. So if you want to do the research of the zoning and what it is, you are more than welcome to, but that's not necessarily the point of the competition. So I don't know, Chet, if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, it says it in the title. It's an ideas competition, and so that's what we're looking for. You're more than welcome to review and research the zoning, and if it comes down to it that you don't feel that what the zoning is there is fair and you want to change that, then by all means you can incorporate that into your prompt. But I wouldn't let it weigh you down either.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then similar to that, they also asked about if there are any environmental restrictions. So again, I mean, obviously I would consider sustainability when you're designing, but I wouldn't restrain, yourself to specific things that are for the city, if that makes sense. And then, Chet, I'm going to let you take this one.
Okay.
So for brief number 3,
Yes.
The Crisis Resource Center, what is the reasoning of the 5-mile radius, and what are considered essential goods?
So we put 5-mile radius as kind of it's kind of boilerplate, but it's kind of a catch-all too. It's for the distribution of the center, so we want to make sure that the community adjacent to it can get goods and items delivered to them, or they could drive there as well. But we kind of want it to be locally just for that area, because often food banks they support larger swaths of cities and lands and stuff like that. So we kind of wanted to keep this more tailored to the east side of Austin where the site is. And as far as essential goods, that's up to you. Whatever you deem as essential goods during this crisis, whatever that has meant to you during all of this, that's what I would follow. What do you think will benefit the community? But I don't want to give. What we were kind of thinking of was just frozen food, masks, all that stuff. But I want to leave that up to y'all.
Yeah. So you get to decide what that means for our community and design for that.
Yep.
Did I miss any questions, Chet, that we had gotten before?
Yeah, we just got 2 questions in that came up in the chat, if that's what you want to talk about. The first one, I got one that was sent directly to me that's asking if there's a budget limit, which there is not a budget limit to the project. We want to keep the bigger the idea, the better, in my opinion. And so if that, I'm not saying design your building in solid gold, but I'm saying make it appropriate to what it is. But I would say that there is no budget to it.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Chet.
No, please.
I was gonna say, there's not a budget, but the point of it isn't to make this grand, huge thing, right? It's to solve the problem of how can we interact without being physically together. So I think that's really the main, what you should be thinking about when you're designing any of the briefs.
The next question that was on the chat was, are the options judged separately, or are they all together? And the answer is that all 4 judges will be judging all options or all briefs. We picked each judge to tailor to specific briefs, just because we thought that it was pertinent to each brief and concept. And so you should be able to find out why they were selected for each one of them. But each one of them, we want them to collaborate and figure out what the best idea is for each brief. And so we didn't want to limit that.
Yeah, and we are Chet and I are facilitating this, so we will not be part of the jury process, but I'm kind of thinking that what the jury will do is, and actually I really don't know, but they'll pick maybe 1 to 5 projects that they're really gravitating towards the solution of the project, and then they'll select one winner and an honorable mention. But besides that, it's not completely worked out yet how we will exhibit these, but there will be some sort of exhibition, whether that's a digital exhibition or a physical exhibition, or maybe perhaps a publication. So just also consider that. Just because you don't necessarily win doesn't mean that your work, won't be exhibited and looked at. So.
And before if we do exhibit, we'll reach out to the team specifically and get y'all's thumbs up or approval to use those images as well.
Yeah.
The next question that we got in the chat was, can we speak to the expectations of the short film? And if this is not part of the judging process, is it a requirement for the submission? To answer the second part, it is part of the submission. And to answer the first part, we're basically what we're asking for is essentially a commercial for your design. And you're able to talk over it and speak through your diagrams. It could just be as simple as a slideshow of your renderings, or it can be as complex as animation. And so I would, it's not going to be judged for it, but we will use it if your design does win for, when you all present at the Texas Summer Conference and stuff like that. So I would put effort into it, but it's definitely not judged.
Yeah, and it's it is open-ended for a reason, so you can also film yourself talking about your project or, you know, anything like that as well.
Yep. Let's see here. The next question was about the post-pandemic education. It says, so for the post-pandemic middle school project, 6 classrooms for each grade, 18 classrooms in total. That is correct. I believe if you go back, yeah, go back to the
Yeah,
yeah. Yes, yep, 6 classrooms each.
yeah, I think we should, that's a really good question. So I think we should have a follow-up of these Q&A and just post them on the website as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could do that. Write this down.
Okay, Ben Yin. Oh, that was his question.
Yep. We got another
Okay.
question that says, will these be judged digitally or through physical prints? And so we're still figuring out how we're going to have the jurors together. It's most likely going to be a Zoom call that Viviana and I will both facilitate. And so more than likely it's going to be digital. If you feel that if that yours reads better, in a print form, then let us know. But I think just for the ease of our jurors' time and the commitments and everyone else's, submissions for this project, we want to keep it all digital.
Yeah. Before that question, Ignacio said, is it possible to give more information about the teaching kitchen in the project C? Teaching kitchen.
Yes. Sorry, what was the question?
Is it possible to give more information about the teaching kitchen in the Crisis Resource Community Center?
Yeah, the teaching kitchen is basically, it's a life skills. So, it's mostly for special education students that take life skills classes, and so it's just to learn, how to cook and stuff like that. It's pretty typical in most education projects.
Okay.
I got a couple of private questions that were asked to me. Let's see here. What is the award criteria that each brief is being judged on? For example, are there specific factors that the jurors are looking at? That's a good question.
Specific sectors?
Factors.
Oh.
What we've told them and what we've asked is just to look for the best idea and judge it based on that merit. They all come from different backgrounds, so they're all looking for different things, and that's what makes this prompt and this jurors so challenging and fun. And so I would just say, you stick to your idea and let it carry all the way through, and that's going to be probably your strongest chance.
Yeah, and I think, again, like, what you should be focusing most on is designing a space where people don't have to be so close together, or don't, either schedule for the school one or something, like somewhere where they don't have to be physically super close. I think that's one of the main driving factors.
Yep. Next question that I got was, what about alternative forms of education where kids aren't divided by age? That's a good question. We chose to go with the middle school for brief A because East Side is largely underserved, especially for the people living around this area. Their middle school is way on the other side of town, so we wanted to keep it pertinent to what is needed for the community. But if you want to include alternative classrooms or spaces or anything like that, go for it. I'd say please do it.
Yeah, and I think, again, this is your design, so design to how you will, but think about also reaching communities in other ways as well, reaching students or whatnot in other ways as well.
Let's see here. The next question that I got is there an award given to each scenario, or is there just one overall award? There will be an award for each scenario. And honorable mentions as well.
Okay, 18 classrooms equals 900 square feet, or 6 classrooms equals 900 square feet.
It's 6 classrooms. Each classroom is 900 square feet. And I also got, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it just says, how strict are the project boundaries?
Depends on the boundaries that you're talking about. Site-wise, we want to keep it within the site. If you want to add more spaces or program different elements into your building, that's definitely acceptable and preferred.
Yeah.
I got another question that was sent directly to me that is asking, so for the post-pandemic education around how many students will be attending the school. The basic math that we'll say is that we'll say around 25 to 30 kids a classroom. And since that there's 18 classrooms, I can't do the math off the top of my head, but 18 times 30, 25 to 30.
Yeah. I would consider how many within the 900 square foot classroom, or if you want to make it bigger, how many people can fit in that comfortably without being, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, because given just social distancing, we don't know how many people will fit in each classroom and the shape
Yeah.
and size of the classroom. So I would say generally keep it to a standard middle school size, but yeah, I wouldn't let that detail kind of hook you up.
Mm-hmm. Can teams submit boards on more than one scenario? No. So if you're part of a team, you can only pick one scenario and submit one board off of that. And I don't know if I asked, how strict are the project boundaries?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I answered that before. We want to keep everything in the site as is, but if you want to add more program space or more different types of program spaces to your building, if your school needs something else that you think like I don't know, esports lounge or something, by all means add it.
Yeah. Are there any other questions before I guess I open it up?
I do not have any other questions that have been sent to me.
Okay, one more. One of the requirements is making a video. Is the video about the project idea or about the 3D building? When you're asking 3D building, do you mean like actually build your project? But your video, it's about your project, so your design, and it can be in any format.
Yeah, well, and I'd argue, what do you want to show off? And because the video only needs to be 2 minutes long, and I wouldn't go beyond that. I don't know if you can actually, and so if your idea is what you really want to sing, then show that.
Okay. I'm gonna be brave, Chet. Do you think we could?
I think we can.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute all, and then let's just be respectful of when someone's speaking. But feel free to have some dialogue.
Yeah, I would say if you're not talking, then mute yourself.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Chet.
I'll just say let's open the floor.
Yeah, I opened it up, so everyone should be unmuted. If they want to unmute themselves and speak, and we're just here to talk, answer questions, anything that you would like to talk about. So. And yeah, we're really excited about this. We worked on it really, really hard for a good amount of time.
Yes.
And we've gotten interest from different parts of the world. So
yes, yep.
We're looking forward to all the submissions at the end of July.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Benny, let's see. I think I unmuted everybody, but unmute all.
We just got a question again that says, how'd you select the site? We selected the site just by looking. We knew we wanted it to be in East Austin because there's just a general lack of community resources in the area. And so we wanted to, we looked at a couple different properties, but this one just kind of felt like the right spot. It wasn't displacing anyone, and it had water features, and it's really located in a prime location. And so we felt that this was the best site for a community resource that we wanted to design for, the 3 briefs in detail.
I'm not sure. I'm unmuting everybody, so I'm not sure why people are still muted. But...
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can.
Hey, Dennis.
This is Dennis. Hi. I think if you mute yourself again after you unmute us, then you have to unmute. You can only unmute everybody. So you might be unmuting people, but if they mute their mic to not be rude, then it's the same problem. I might have missed this, but did y'all say that the short film is required?
It is a
Yes.
requirement, yes. So once we get all of the submissions, again, we don't know exactly what the exhibit will look like, whether it's digital or physical, but that's going to be part of the exhibit. So just to be more interactive and to have a more human connection. So again, the film can be anything that you want it to be. If you can go all out and have a Lumion fly through of your design, or you can be talking to the camera about why you designed whichever thing you did. Yeah, I hope that answers some of your questions. And I do see some names from the University of Texas that have emailed me in regard to mentorship. So I actually got the final mentor today. So you should be getting an email from me tonight or tomorrow with the person that you're going to be paired up with. So. Okay, I think, let's see. There was one question from Sarah Costa.
Following up to Claire's question, which I think it's about an award for each scenario.
Yeah, so we actually have one award of $1,000 and an honorable mention of $500. So that's throughout, like for all of the competition. It's not per scenario.
Oh, I misspoke.
Yeah.
So we'll reiterate. So the winning idea will be picked from one of the 3 briefs, and that will win the main monetary prize. But then we'll have a couple of honorable mentions.
Right. Let's see. What about displacing existing users like the Latino soccer teams? What about the Oak Springs ecosystem?
That's a good question. You're more than welcome to provide soccer fields for the Oak Springs teams that are out there. The prompts that we've given should not take up the entire site, so we don't have to develop all of it. Like I said, this is just an ideas competition, and so the more you can involve the community, the better. And so I love questions like that.
It says, oh, never mind. I am unmuting all, but I think Dennis explained to me, even if I unmute all, if somebody in the call mutes, then it like does it for everybody. That's what he was saying. So just if you have a question, just keep chatting. Sorry. I'm gonna keep unmuting you guys, but it might not work. So Amanda said at some point in the written description you mentioned schedules, construction/material schedules, or hypothetical for students.
Hypothetical for students.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to get really descriptive with your brief about how do students go from this place to this place and how many there are, and all of that, feel free to do that. Victoria asked, oh wait, no, I just said that one. Sarah asked, is there a limit to how much we can manipulate the landscape? I would say no. I mean, there is no limit really, so you can design whatever you want.
I mean, God forbid you pave it with asphalt, but other than that, feel free to do whatever you want.
Yeah, as long as you're addressing the brief, and again, designing to not being physically together, but still in the same area, I think that's what we're looking for.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi. In relation with a project brief C, can I divide the space, for example, the teaching kitchen in different areas? Yes, it's possible.
Yes. Yeah. You could split it up however you want.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, and the teaching kitchen for the Crisis Resource Center, that's kind of more for it's more of a resource for the community, for people that just don't know how to cook too. And there is the element for the school too, and I might have just misspoke on that, but it's just kind of more of like a prep kitchen that you kind of see at like Lake Cordon Bleu or any of those culinary schools.
Yeah, thanks.
One more question. Is there a greater importance given to the design/aesthetic or the ideas we have for the interaction? So we're looking for mostly how to solve for interaction. However, if you should also address the design and aesthetic of the space.
I would say, that's in the eye of the juror. And to me, I think I've been saying the whole time, the idea is really what's going to sing. And I think that's really what's going to separate each design from each design. And so I would trust in that. But obviously, you want to make something that's aesthetically pleasing too. So I'd follow that also. And then Sarah, I saw your comment about the opportunity to mentor students. Why don't you feel free to email either myself or Viviana about that. We might have, I think right now we don't need more mentors, but there might be a opportunity where someone will reach out that will need more mentors. Okay. Any other questions, guys? How do we get, lost the screen. So how do we get a mentor is what I last saw. Email, if you go to the Design Voice page, aaustin.com, or if go to the Force-Majeure page, email Courtney, and she'll get to us and we'll get you a mentor set up. Any more questions, guys? We'll stay on for a couple more minutes in case anything comes up. Just curious too, for people that are on right now, where's everyone from? You could write in the chat box. Cool. Very cool. A lot of Texans representing. Indonesia, very cool. Arlington, right on. Well, so just to give you guys kind of a quick schedule. So we did have to push this out to the 15th. We will not be pushing back the deadline at all. The deadline will still be July 25th, end of day. If you have any questions about submittable, I would put those questions into Courtney also. I would also do a test run of it beforehand, because it's the worst when it's 11:30 p.m. and you're still trying to figure out how to submit something. We're back, and but I would double check it, get an account all signed up. It's pretty simple and straightforward, and so that way you can be all ready and submit and have no worries about your selection being chosen. So we just got another question. For the site analysis, should we consider transportation and other stuff? And there is a lake on the site. Can we incorporate that into design? I would say yes to both of those. If you would like to incorporate transportation and the lake and everything, anything is at your utilization. And so feel free to look into all options. You could expand the lake. You could make it smaller. Yes. Where's the account we need to submit? Yes, that is so. Gray, that is the deadline. It is at 11:59 p.m. at July 25th, which I believe is a Saturday. And the account, it's just one teammate from each account, or one teammate from each group will just have to submit and make an account.
Yeah, it'll ask you, like the main person that's submitting, and then you can list your other team members in there as well. And one thing, it is mentioned in the brief, but you should not put any names, any of your names on the board. I I believe it says in the brief that's going to get you disqualified. Because we want it to be anonymous for the jury. So make sure you don't include that. We'll obviously once the winners are selected, then we will incorporate that. But for the submissions, you should not include your names on there on the boards. I dropped out for just a second. Did someone ask where everyone was calling from?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I was curious.
That's great. We have people from everywhere.
Yeah, I know, it's really cool. We're really excited that everyone is also excited about this competition. As Vivian was saying, we spent a couple months on this brief, really detailing it and making it the great competition brief that I think it is today. And I'm a little biased about that, but we're really proud of it, and we're really excited to see all of your ideas that you all come up with.
Yeah, and I guess we have, about 10 minutes left till 7. Are there any other questions before we hop off? And again, if you think of any other questions, feel free to email Courtney at AIA Austin. She's kind of filtering the questions, and then if she can't answer them, she sends it to us. So feel free to do that as well.
Yep. And she's the same resource too if you'd like to be a mentor or would like a mentor as well. Do we have a deadline for mentors though?
Well, so I'm just going to be kind of honest. We have 10 teams from the University of Texas. So if there's teams from other universities, feel free to email me. So it took a little bit to get 10 mentors, but so now that we have everybody that's paired up, I'm going to go ahead and send that wave. If we get another wave, then I won't pair anybody until that happens, I guess.
Okay.
Like, does that make sense?
Who are the mentors? Yeah, the mentors are for just emerging professionals or students that would like to participate.
Right. Yeah, so it's anybody that is studying at a university, and with one group emailed me and said they want to get AXB hours during this, so they want to be paired up with a licensed architect. So that's an example.
That's cool.
And then also, go ahead.
I got a question that said, is it required? And it is not required by students. You're more than welcome to submit on your own.
Yeah, definitely. No, not everybody on the same team has to be from the same university. Yeah, it can be anybody. It can be anybody in the world. You can form a team with 4 people anywhere in the world. Yeah.
And we encourage you to diversify your team with people from different trades and backgrounds and stuff too. I think that's only going to enrich the ideas.
Definitely, yeah. It says in the brief that at least one person should have an architectural background, but the other team members don't have to have that background whatsoever. So you can have, I don't know, a graphic designer or whatever you'd like on your team.
Well, I think we got everyone's questions on the chat. Unless I'm missing someone, I don't want to. If we misread or overread someone's question, or if someone didn't hear their answer, feel free to either jump on the call or write in the chat so we get everything covered.
Yep, a one-you message. Thank you.
I like those messages.
Thank you. We're like super excited about this. So hopefully, yeah, we'll see what the submissions look like, and then we can have a really, really awesome exhibition in the fall. Waterloo says, there are other sites along airport far less sensitive. A native of the place, it's troubling to design for this site from a neo-colonial dynamic. Will there be another competition? So we'll have another competition next year, and we'll probably not use the same site.
Correct.
But again, this isn't a design ideas competition, so nothing's going to be built there. It's to generate ideas to solve what we're currently going through with this pandemic. So that's what we're looking forward to addressing with all of your ideas.
Yep.
Okie dokie. Well, Chet, I think if that's it, I think we're going to hop off. Again, if you have any other questions,
email Courtney. And if you're an educator or a student that would like to know more about getting paired with a mentor, email Courtney and then she'll forward it to me as well.
Yep. Cool. Well,
Great.
Thanks everyone for jumping on. All great questions. We look forward to seeing what y'all submit.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.
Yes. Have a great rest of your week.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna jump off.